We're live. It's on you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was waiting for a sign. Good evening.
Yeah, no, pictures.
Welcome to the Hi, everyone. I'm crazy. No, welcome to the November 2021 Anime Twin Cities Incorporated board meeting. It's glad to be back in front of you, and I hope we have a great meeting. Everyone is attending. Some are attending overline. Virtually. Thank you. I'm old. I don't say the right things, but we're all here. So technically, myself, Tristan Anderson, Ashley Rand, Kim, and John and Hatura are all here, plus our officer Troy, who's the chairman. We have one guest over there. He might talk later. So let's get into it right away. The first item on the agenda is the recap of off-cycle board actions and votes. We had an emergency meeting due to the fact that I had been in the East Coast and lacked an official quorum. Official quorum to have an emergency meeting to approve the budgets for both Anime Twin Cities and Anime Detour. Ashley, you are we don't have to vote again. We just have to report the results of the vote for the budgets.
Ratify the budget, right?
Yes, so we have to vote to ratify it. So
Okay.
You just basically reaffirm that we did what we did.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to ratify the votes, which, by the way, I believe was unanimous on both votes. That's correct, right? So I motion that we ratify it. Who wants to second that ratification? Tristan seconds. Everyone in favor? Everyone opposed? I don't see a Torah. Oh, wait, I do see a Torah. Never mind. Okay. I saw it. My bad. So, thank you very much for that. We have money to spend on our convention next March. Yay! Woo-hoo. Okay. So, after the recapping of off-meeting business, we have a 30-minute window. If we have anyone who wishes to bring up certain topics in front of the board that are not on the agenda. You're monitoring the chat?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll give a few minutes while people are typing in that if they want to bring up anything. I like to say that, as I said before, driving 3,100 miles over 8 days is not as fun as it used to be, and I'm very glad to be back among all of you. So thanks for having me here as your president.
Putting in 800 in a day.
Well, you're insane. I mean that in the most loving way. Loving way.
Oh, it is insanity.
Okay.
You didn't have anything you wanted, you were just observing tonight? Okay.
Okay. Let's see.
Nobody's commenting in the chat, so we can put a scroll on.
Okay, so
Ashley, does he give you his name or something too? Or does he give it to Dave so he gets counted as being present for the meeting? Our
Dave
guest?
doing that.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
that's for me. Everybody, that reminds me, if you're attending in chat, please email us that you're here and put your name in chat. I will get your name and information later. Yeah, he told me his name, but I'm old and I'm forgetful, so I apologize. Am I still on the screen? Yes, I am. Okay, Jane. Okay, there are no planned other organizations, people here to address the board that I am aware of. Does anyone in chat know of anyone that want to address it as a member of a different organization? Okay then. Tristan, can you go over the equipment rental for Anime Fusion? What happened and everything?
Everything eventually did make it back. There was one little hiccup when they were loading out the TVs we had loaned them. They got set in the closet while they were loading up. and miscommunication happened, so they did not get back that Friday. However, they found out while they were unloading things, let John Hermansdorfer, who is the gentleman on our end, unloading everything, know. He let me know later, and I coordinated with them to drop it off this last, we could have got it sooner, but I was going down to the locker on Saturday anyway, so I just had them meet me there on Saturday. Everything came back just fine. Nothing's broken, nothing's missing. We actually had to send them some stuff back because they accidentally gave us some cables and things from one of their vendors. But everything made it back.
Okay. All right, so I will go ahead then and issue the two.
Troy had a question.
I'm sorry, Troy.
Yes.
But our equipment didn't make it back to us in the time specified by the signed agreement.
Correct.
Okay, because in the past, for items similar to that, there's been a penalty for that.
Yes, there has.
Is there a penalty in the contract?
The only thing in the contract is if it's late more than an hour picking up or dropping off, a $75 charge will be taken.
Charge it.
Which in this case, a week would qualify as being late by an hour.
A week is more than an hour? Yeah.
At least. So, yeah, no, I'm definitely to,
And it was
to
the
assess that.
TVs, because I want to make sure I make note of it.
Yep, TV, the TVs and monitors. So,
Because that's kind of important for gaming.
yes,
So,
it is.
okay, make
Because
sure.
a note on that is why that particular date of TV was allowed, and most likely those will not be loaned out again.
Well, that's our decision, but thank you for your advice
No,
on
it's
that
not.
matter.
No, it's not, Dave.
What do you mean?
It's each department head's determination as to which of their equipment to loan out,
Didn't we loan out the old ones?
which is why the newer TVs were not loaned out.
Yes and no. So one quick just discrepancy on how we're terming it. What we loaned out were the 9 TVs
Right.
we have. And for those 9 TVs, I don't remember if they're gamings or tech because I keep hearing different things from different people. I keep hearing that they're tech TVs. However, all of the other video-based devices of that design that we have are monitors, not TVs.
Yep.
That's just an important distinction because monitors possess VGA cables and TVs possess HDMI and the old RCA, the red, yellow, white. So that is an important distinction.
So Troy, are you, should we bring this up on a future meeting that you want to redact? Because we did have in the contract that there was a penalty of $75, which we're charging. None of the TVs were damaged, correct?
None of them were
None
damaged.
of the monitors were damaged?
Nope, nothing was damaged.
We
Everything-
are charging them $75, which is what's in the contract. Do we have a history of problems with Anime Fusion and Quad Cities Anime before?
Particularly with the TV, yes, which is why we loaned them the older version of the gaming assigned televisions and not the newer gaming assigned
have-
monitor.
We had a problem getting them back.
When was this?
We've had a problem getting them back, getting the remotes back, getting all of the cables back. And when this happened with a different event and we didn't get all the cables back, we extracted the costs from the deposit, yet recommended not loaning to that particular event again,
Okay,
which doesn't seem consistent.
well, hold on a second. First of all, Troy, I was unaware that this was a considered problem. So why don't we discuss this and have a motion to pass this from the board on our next meeting in December? Would that be sufficient for you?
Oh, I just wanted to make sure that we were following whatever terms of the contract were specified. And if it's the $75, that's fine. What I'm suggesting is those TVs may not only for one event, they may be removed based on their age from the, I don't know what you would call it, the loaning list.
Okay,
So they may
that's
be
perfectly okay. That's
Yeah.
going
perfect.
forward.
That's perfectly okay. And if you want to do it specifically to this, unit? Because this is the first I've heard that we've had an issue of Anime Fusion, but honestly.
No, there's a reason we only have 8 of them versus the 10, because they keep,
Okay.
wow.
Okay.
As far as the explanation that I've been given for these is the only reason we still have these is these are the only TV type devices in our inventory that support analog gaming devices like, Sega, N64, stuff like that.
So that's kind of important.
Yeah, that could be the newer ones, like you said, the
HDMI
10
only.
newer ones that we purchased a few years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, we wouldn't restrict it for just one event. What I was suggesting is they may not be on next year's or on ultimately, which brings me to another question. What is our blackout window on loaning to events in terms of, what was it, 60 days?
It's 30 or 60 to
I
something
believe it
like
was, I forget if it was 90 and we dropped it to 60 or it was 60 and we dropped it to 30. I got to go back and look. But I also know that it was no event, or we will not rent out to any events that are within 30 months or 30 days prior to Anime Detour. So that way, that equipment will be returned at least 1 month ahead so we can check it and purchase new stuff if needed.
And then this is another good question, if any could help me. We should have an annual process where we review the equipment rentals. When do we usually go over that? So we can remove the TVs?
We never have.
So
Okay.
So
well,
over the last 3 years, we have slowly been. That is when we slowly started building this rental process, and in the last, what would you say, Troy and Allie, Kim? The last 2 years is kind of when things finally, year to 2 years is when things finally have started falling into place as we use it now. Because Lauren was, the one that drew up that.
We obviously didn't loan anything last year. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm just like, because Lauren wrote that up like, what, 2 years ago?
Yeah, at least 2 years ago.
So, if anybody objects, I'll look at the schedule and decide on a date where I can request, we'll discuss, what would, the 30
the rental policies.
No, I mean, update. I assume the rental policies are done. I think we want to update what we can rent out and what we shouldn't rent out so we don't have this issue. Because especially in something like old school, we want analog gaming TVs, right? That would make sense.
Well, yeah, I think at least one key point I'd like to revisit, especially, is I feel like 30 days is a little bit of a short window.
Okay.
So I don't know when that can be something that can be looked at for a deeper discussion.
30 days from the con?
Yeah, if that's what it currently is, I'd like to look at revisiting that with the board.
Okay.
If that's what it currently is, look at stretching that out to backing that out further. I don't know that it has to be 90 days, but 30 days seems like an awful short period of time to
With shipping and stuff,
get stuff back, figure out if it's working, replace it. It just, so yes, I'd like to look at that at least.
Did you want to forward me a proposal of what you'd like to see so I could bring it up on next year's?
Yeah, I can try and get something together. I didn't think of the 30 days thing until Tristan said it, but yeah, I know that there had been some movement on that, so.
Could you also make sure to include a note about the price in there? Because that's kind of been a little bit of an issue in our discussions over it this whole time.
Yeah.
And I know we bumped it up to here. When we recently rented out to Audio Visions for their event, when we rented them the speakers that they sold to us, when we told them the price, they kind of looked at me and they're like, did you miss a zero? Because the typical rental prices is for the things that we're doing or renting to people. Apparently, the industry standard is 10% of the total cost of the equipment, which in that case would have been closer to like $500.
I apologize for interrupting. I've just been motioned from someone else at GPS that I got to go talk to briefly. I don't know if you guys still can talk to you because this should take only 2 minutes, but I'll be right back.
Yeah, if you can just make sure to put a note on there so we don't forget about that, that would be very appreciated.
So it sounds to me that there's I wouldn't say a complete overhaul, but it sounds to me like we at least want to take
a few updates,
a deeper look,
at it, see if it still fits
Yeah, we've had some time to play with what we built, and we
what the
found some
board
adjustments.
wants to look at going forward. I know that it was kind of done and redone. I know that you and Diana, and I think at one point even, Joe and Andrew, and there was a number of different people, and Lauren kind of recrafted it, but there's been a number of years that have gone by. So at least we might want to look at the, how soon before detour. And like you said, the pricing, it's not something that it's going to be a financial windfall, but I think some of my key components were is that it's a community service that we provide, but and we have adjusted so that some of the replacement and deposit costs are reflected. There still is a resource and personnel, I wouldn't say drain, but there is obviously some of that as it falls to you, Kim. Sounds like John had to step in on this one. So there's some consideration there, but I think for the dollar value of equipment that we're loaning, and the cost that is being asked for, I think, as you mentioned, I think we can look at, or I think the board can look at what they feel may or may not be an appropriate adjustment there. So,
I apologize for that interruption.
All right, so yeah, I'll fold you in, Tristan, because I think you have if you don't mind, I think you have a better grasp sort of overall, having dealing with the tech vendors and things like that on sort of market value on that sort of thing than I do. So if you'd be willing to sort of provide that sort of input on that, and then I'll get something to the board for that.
Absolutely.
And then I'll take a look at our current documentation and see whether it sits at, if it sits at 60 days, I think I'm fine with that. But if it's at 30, I'll propose that you guys take a look at that. But that's all I had on that. Thank you.
60 is reasonable.
And you'll send me that. Am I on the screen? Yes, I am. You'll send that to me before the next meeting, if you could put it on the agenda.
Absolutely.
Okay. So unfortunately, Geeks Read was supposed to start at 7 o'clock here.
Oh.
They have to use the TV for their stuff. So we'll go a little fast, and then you can't set this up in 15 minutes. So, correct?
Their equipment?
No, your
to
equipment,
move into the
107.
other room.
Okay. I don't know. If we need to take the 15-minute break at 7:15, then we'll do it.
Yeah,
if we don't need to, we won't need to. Okay? So, okay, reports. The largest report, the coordinator update, unless we're done with that, right?
Yes.
Right. Enemy Detour, Chairman, can you make your report for Enemy Detour?
Sure. Let's see, since the last meeting, we had an ambassador table at Anime NebraskaCon. I think that went fairly well. I don't want to say same old, but getting back out there, talking to people, talking about our event, a little bit different, as we're still in the early stages. So we didn't have guest contracts yet finalized to announce, which is usually what a lot of folks are excited about, but still getting out there sort of in that first regional ring, as well as reestablishing and strengthening those kind of contacts within the convention itself. As far as internal detour stuff, we're working hard on the exhibit hall stuff. Got a number of people working on that. The executive team and Alex Latour has been a really big help on that, getting that up and running and sort of meeting our new needs there. From where we were a couple years ago, and since we haven't had a physical show in 2 years, just trying to make sure we're meeting the new needs of vendors and our guests, how we'll select our vendors, that sort of things. The executive team and O'Toole went out. O'Toole has never seen her space despite having been a head for a number of, well, at least 2 years. So wanted to make sure that she could get accurate measurements of her space, sometimes between the pillars and things like that. But we wanted to go out and look at some of the new spaces, get our eyes on some spaces on how we might repurpose them, so we can start doing space allocation for with our department heads. Some spaces based on department heads' requests, we'll look at how to move them around for efficiency's sake, or if we've absorbed them, like I almost said artist alley, but not an art show, as we're not having a blood drive this year, so those spaces we can repurpose. So there's a few spaces that we'll be looking to see if we can reutilize those, particularly if they're on first and second floor in those kind of prime Main Street areas. Obviously, budgets had been done, submitted, approved, so department heads are aware of that. So they should be able to start looking at how to start allocating that towards spending towards their departments. We should start getting some of our contracts finalized, start seeing some of those guest of honor announcements, which should start exciting the fandom and start seeing some, I think, additional spikes in registration. We did sell out the hotel when we opened it. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Is that right, Tristan? 2 weeks ago, I had that timeline down.
2 weeks ago Saturday.
Yeah, Tristan and I were out of town, but yeah, we sold it out. I think very quickly, just as quickly as we had in years past. So
less than an hour before people started saying that all the rooms were booked.
Yeah, so we do have some. We already have had some contracts for some overflow hotels. Obviously, the Millennium was one of them. Where in 2019 that wasn't available. They had an event. That was the year that we had, not the canceled year in 2020. So we do have a few other overflow hotels. So things are starting to come together. We have a staff meeting coming up, a department head meeting coming up. So with being in late March, be a lot of communication going back and forth between the executives and the department heads. A lot of start to see a lot of deadlines. We've already had like the Artist Alley deadline. It'll be exhibit hall, themes, programming, a lot of that type of stuff. So there'll be a lot of those deadlines condensed into a couple of weeks shorter than usual. But that's what our calendar tells us this year. So we kind of got over a lot of the large things, budget. Now the next one will be space allocation, and try to work with our department heads on getting everybody that level of space that they want and where they want it. So we'll see what we can do. But unless there's any questions, that's essentially where we're at for this month.
Do we have any questions for Troy?
I do not.
Nobody?
Nothing in the chat.
I have nothing.
As always, they can shoot me an email or something. And
Okay. According to our charities, I spent most of October on the road and recovering from being on the road, so there is no announcements or new developments in charities at this time. Communities, Communications, SOS.
Nothing.
Actually, I do have a question for communities.
I don't have an answer.
In previous years, we've always had an Enemy Twin Cities party room. Okay. However, mostly everybody on the board now have their own departments, or will be busy. There is, I was writing the themes for the chairman's letter for themes, and the previous one had mentioned stop by our Enemy Twin Cities party room for information. Okay. But usually, correct me if I'm wrong, the party room is usually manned by board members or people who have have acted like it. Is that not the case? No? Because I don't know, because I've always been in programming, running around like a crazy man.
Okay. Well, from what I know, at the time, it fell under Eric. And so he always set up the people to actually run the room because he was too busy in tech.
Okay, so Eric
But
was,
that is not the case going forward, so.
Eric is communities, right?
He was clubs.
Okay,
Which has been folded into community.
okay. So, communities coordinator, will we have an Adams Twin Cities party room this year? I'm sorry?
Technically, I am not a coordinator. I am providing oversight.
Oh, that's right, I understand, but we don't have a coordinator yet. So, kind of need an answer.
At this moment, I do not foresee a way unless I can, logistically, I can.
From the membership to run a room.
Was that?
Yeah, she was saying, unless there's interest in some from the membership, from the staff, to step forward, because none of us really can do it, there probably will not be an ATC party room, as much as we'd like one. If we can't do it, we can't do it. Okay? Thank you for your answer. And you're correct, he's not a coordinator, but he's overseeing communities until we can get someone to be communities. I apologize for that error.
So, I mean, you can put a call out to see if there's a volunteer, but they would probably have to take over, like, that'd be all they're doing. They're not really gonna have time to work in the department, my guess is.
Okay,
So,
things aren't looking good.
No.
Okay,
So probably not.
if you had nothing, if we can go to finance?
All right, so, we'll start out quick. I don't have very much, obviously. Things are pretty quiet until expenses really start rolling along. But currently, the bank account is $139,039.09. The education fund is $2,289.62. And the community fund, or the leg account, is $13,527.61. Both the education and the leg account had donations last month from people that are registering online at $27 a piece. So you all should have seen that in your monthly financial reports under the income and stuff. I gotta say, it was rather nice to see income and extra lines this month on the reports. Based on my estimation, it was, I believe 174 registrations had come in during the month of October. That's how many. And it's pretty easy to tell because I can, from the ATC membership dues, and so that's how many other ones should come in. So other than that, and hopefully our expenses will start to die down a little bit. We did have just the one big expense because GPS cashed their check. Otherwise, things would have looked much nicer for us in October. We would have made more than we didn't. But I think that's the only thing I have. I haven't had any mail. I haven't had anything else come in. November 15th, next week, I'm going to start, is when I've scheduled the work to begin on our 990 with the accounting team. So, but that should move rather easily because there wasn't much going on. There were no grants. There was no major expenses. So I don't see any issue with that.
Does anyone have any questions for finance and or Kim? We all good? Okay. That is quarterly updates. We're going to skip the 15. I have a topic here where we can do complimentary memberships review.
that's fine. It'll go really quick. All you guys needed was for you to verify if that was considered or not. I already have an answer. Nothing less than 15 minutes, if that's the last thing on our agenda.
I have to add one thing that's probably quickly going to be denied. We can
Let's
give you
move
the
it
rest
into
of
the
the
big
time.
room because we also have the GPS meeting, the contract discussion.
Not today.
No, but they got in touch with me and I got to ask you guys questions. So this is going to take more than 15 minutes.
Oh, so you add something to the agenda that's not on the agenda.
They just got
Okay,
a hold
are
of me
you
last
asking
night.
to talk about that as part of the meeting, or are you asking to talk about it as super quick before the mediation for the conversation?
No, I was just saying, we keep saying there's more to add, so I was gonna say so we're not holding up the group, why don't we move it quick?
Can that be a conversation off the call?
Yeah.
Yes.
We can do that in the hallway.
Right. And
Okay, then let's go.
let's go.
We're
Okay,
holding up
so, even though we're going to follow, this is really quick, and it's been asked to me and from GPS, not as a GPS person. Usually, when they have the Holiday Emporium for GPS in 107, Anime Twin Cities raises money by having a Santa. However, we don't know if that's going to be a good idea this year. But I don't want to make that decision personally. I don't think in the idea of we're still going through the COVID stuff. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
Close people
In
and the
here, we
kids
have a little
and-
photo shoot. Kids come in, sit on
Yep.
Santa's lap, take some pictures.
Right.
Dave, you don't want to be Santa?
Yes.
Yeah, that
that's
was an
an
ATC event.
I heard GPS,
don't-
and I was like, why are we talking about GPS?
Because GPS is having the Holiday Emporium next door, and we work as a partner with them for Santa. But Santa may not be a good idea. I don't think it is, but I don't want to make that decision as an arbitrary decision. Is everyone agreed that having a Santa in this year of years is probably a bad idea? Dory, you had a question?
Yes. No, I'm sorry. I didn't want to like just shake my head. I wanted to say yes, but I don't know
Okay.
if anybody was talking to me.
Okay, John, you agree that we shouldn't have one? Is he there? Is he frozen?
I think he's muted.
Well, he's not
Give him a
moving.
second.
I think that we should not have one this year as a result of COVID, basically.
Actually, Alan.
Yeah, I
You
know.
agree? Okay, see, that was really quick. I yield the floor to Ash.
Okay.
So, a couple
everyone
months
hear me?
ago.
Yes,
Okay, good.
sorry.
Okay, so a couple months ago, the question came up if, and correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been a couple months, if Anime Detour would be able to essentially provide a membership to their staff meeting certain qualifications in full, meaning that that staff member would not still be required to pay the $15 fee. That is the question, right?
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so the concern was if there's a gift or what's going on with that. So I looked into the other organization I was with and I talked to a couple of my contacts. Nobody sees that being wrong, provided that there is accurate accounting for it. So what is commonly done, because our bylaws don't allow that to be waived, but it doesn't say you can't gift it, or pay on behalf of somebody. So what was suggested is you count that as a debit from one line item and a credit to another line item. So in this case, it'd be a debit from Anime Detour, so they would count it in their budget, and it'd be a credit to ATC. Regardless of it being the same account, it nets out to zero, so it's no money leaving, but that way it's accounted for, and however, so you have a paper trail, so it doesn't look like you're just going, here, take this for free.
So in other words, I suggested writing a check to ADC from Anime Detour, but we don't have to write a check. All we have to do is debit the line.
You can just debit and credit the lines, is what's commonly done with other organizations, is that they'll do internal credits and debits to keep track of it. I know one of the organizations I'm with, they specifically put the name of the member who is receiving it, and they do each member individually. Like, they have a pool in the budget prepared. So like in this case, Anime Detour would have a pool of money, and then it would debit out of that pool of money back into ATC. So it'd be part of Anime Detour's budget.
And your proposal, Troy, was, of course, we would keep track of who got this. So we would have documentation on who was.
Right, so if Anime Detour had a policy on how they were choosing these people, technically that's not even required as long as you were keeping track of the credits and debits. So it nets out, it's just paperwork to make sure that you're keeping accounting, and you don't have another member come up later and go, hey, this person's getting favoritism, or this person's getting it when they're not, because they don't have a record of who's getting it and how many are happening.
And you're able to implement a system like that, right, Troy?
Right, currently we'd be looking at 12 hours from, essentially it'd be from the time your department is open, available to the public. So right now we have not yet incorporated a level of setup and tear down. Obviously right now the idea is for hands to be on deck when the 6,000 folks are coming to visit us. We can look at, there is an issue with getting folks to help during setup and tear down, but we can't try to mitigate everything with this one layer. So yes, our goal is to have the department heads have their schedule prepared before Anime Detour, so that we would know who is scheduled for that number of hours. There would obviously be, most likely, some folks who were scheduled for 12 hours and did not show up for 12. And hopefully, to the other end, there were some that were scheduled for 10 and showed up for 12. So yeah, we will have to mitigate either end of exactly 12 hours. But yes, that is what we're looking at. So we will know we will have a recording of who was scheduled for and what they showed up for, and the level of recording will start with the department heads.
So you'll have a system, okay?
So just really quick clarification there, so your credits and debits would only apply to the non-waivable fee, which is the membership fee?
The $15.
Right.
It wouldn't be more than that.
Right, $15 per head.
Per head.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions for Ashley? Thank you, Ashley, for doing that for us.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll discuss your GPS thing afterwards, so
Yeah.
you can make a presentation in next December's board meeting.
There was something else I wanted to bring up, but I got sidetracked and I don't remember what it was, so I'll just.
I apologize for that. I believe I realized that the person who schedules these meetings is the secretary, and that I should have done it. So I will make sure I don't, which is strange because I should have looked at it. But anyway, I'm babbling. Does the chat or anybody else have any other topics that we wish to discuss at this time? Okay. Well, due to the existency of the agency that we did not schedule this, and Geeks Read is ready to come in here because they need the TV right over there, I'd like to propose to, what's the proposal? Gosh.
End the meeting.
Adjourn the meeting. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word adjourn. Can I have a second, please?
Yes, I'll second.
All in favor, please say, raise your hand. All opposed, please raise your hand. Okay, two things. One, if you're talking about Troy, oh, sorry. Thank you guys on the net. Thank you very much for joining us today. We're sorry for the mistakes that we made today. James is in exhibits. Do you have a contact information for him, Troy?
I'm gonna get that to him after the.
Okay, never mind. Sorry, what? Oh, he hasn't killed the stream yet.
No.
Oh.
You didn't say we were done.
Oh, we're adjourned.
you were
Please
still
cut the
talking.
stream. Thank you.